Hi, this is Maureen Rush-Bogutz, welcoming you back. Hope you had a good week. This is part 2 video for the FYE online class career exploration assignment. And what I'd like to do is pick up where we left off at the end of the last video. At the end of the last video, the very last thing I asked you guys to do was to fill out a handout called the Holland's Party Game. I have it showing up in front of us right now. And what I'd like you to do is pull that out while you're watching this video if you can. And I wanted you to take a few minutes and think about it and reflect on how you viewed yourself when you read these initial descriptions of the Holland Code and the different personality types. And I'd like you to also think about your Holland Code from the Focus 2 career assessment. So by now you should have completed the assessment. And if you haven't looked at it recently and you could possibly log in and pull it up while you're watching the video, that would be ideal. What I'd like you to do is look at how you initially thought of yourself in terms of Holland Code and see how your results came out from the Focus 2. What were your thoughts? Did your results on the actual Focus 2 Holland Code differ from the Holland's Party Game and how you rated yourself? Were there any things that you really liked? Were there any things about it that you really didn't agree with? You know, what we're really looking for here is patterns and themes. When you're exploring careers and looking for ways to gather information and make decisions, it's important to look at yourself and your personality and look for themes and patterns that can help you organize your way of thinking. So just a little bit about the Holland Codes. On my first video, I told you I was an ASE, Artistic, Social, and Enterprising. And if you were paying attention, I think I said I was an ASI as well in different parts of that video. And the truth is, I've taken assessments quite a few times, and my first and second codes, the Artistic and the Social, always come out the same. But my third code, the E or the I, sometimes they flip-flop. So one of the things I wanted to mention to you is that I believe there's validity to these assessments and that the Holland Code really has some good theory behind it, but some of the codes can vary a little bit. If you take it more than once or if you don't totally agree with it, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Your mood can affect how you answer questions some days, what's going on in your life. So sometimes the scores can vary a little bit, especially when you get to like the third part of your Holland Code. You know, the first one's the strongest, the second one comes in next, the third maybe not so as prominent as your first part of the code. It's the top 3, again, that we say are the most significant, and usually for a lot of people it's that very first code that they really feel the strongest about. So I just wanted to mention that to you. And what I always say to students is with these assessments, you know, take what you like from it and use it. If there's something you don't really like, you disagree with, just let it go. It's not that important. Okay? So hopefully by now you're getting a little more insight into yourself and some of these theories and how you might fit in the world of work. You know, if you already know what you want to do, that's wonderful. Hopefully there's some reinforcement going on for you. But if this is kind of all new to you, you know, we're hoping it's generating some good ideas. So I want to share a few more things with you. And we're going to move on a little bit today. So moving forward, so let's, you know, you have a Holland Code now, and maybe you have some ideas of what you want to do. Maybe you have a few different career ideas floating around in your head. Very often students in these career exploration exercises, they have an idea, but they say, you know, I'm not always sure what to do next. How do I move myself from just theory to actually making progress? So what we want to do is present a case study to you. And I'm going to just read this over with you. Jenny is a student who took the work interest assessment, and her Holland Code is EAS. That stands for Enterprising, Artistic, and Social. She loves watching the show Scandal, and she wants to be like the main character, Olivia Pope. So I don't know if you guys watch Scandal or not. Olivia Pope is a crisis management expert and a public relations specialist. So Jenny thinks this is really cool, and she wants to do this kind of work. She thinks it sounds fascinating and interesting, but she doesn't really know, how do I get there? You know, if I had this idea, what do I do next? So let's look at this a little closer. So Jenny took the work interest assessment, as I said. She loves watching Scandal. but she doesn't know anything about the career. So where should she start if she's doing career exploration? She has her Holland code, she has some ideas, but what's next? So if she took the Focus 2, which she should have done if she was in this class, she can get a lot of information right from the Focus 2. So once you've done all of the questions about your personality and your skills and your values, there's a section that says Explore the Possibilities. So if you go to the Explore the Possibilities section of the Focus 2, you can explore lots of different occupations. You can look at what's required for certain majors. What can I do with a major in? You can ask, yourself, if I want to do this major, what kinds of jobs would come along with it? You can explore occupations by different families of jobs. You can even compare occupations side by side. So if you haven't looked at Explore the Possibilities in the Focus 2, please do that now. Please look at it because it's got some really good information in it. So you can explore any occupation, and that's what we're going to look at. So if you click on Explore Any Occupation, it has an alphabetical list, and then you can go to different job titles based on the alphabet. So if you know Public Relations Specialist, is what you're interested, like Jenny, you click on it and it gives you more information. It gives you descriptions, it gives you information about salaries and what kind of education you need. You can explore lots of different things. Sometimes people aren't as sure of the title, and I would say poke around and just look for different things that you think, because very often there's more than one title for a job that might be related. Another great place that you can get information on job titles is from the website www.bls.gov. That stands for the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. It's put out by the U.S. Department of Labor. It's a gigantic website, has tons and tons of things that you can explore related to occupations and careers. And one of the sections of this BLS.gov website is called the Occupational Outlook Handbook. And I highly recommend looking at the Occupational Outlook Handbook. Very often when students are in beginning stages of career exploration, they get an idea of something, they don't always know what it's called, so sometimes you struggle with, what is that job? You can poke through here and look for different titles. And get information on those titles. And once you do, you get lots and lots of more detail about the job itself. So let's use Public Relations Specialist for an example. If you read through the Occupational Outlook Handbook, it gives you information on how to become a Public Relations Specialist. It tells you that typically you need a bachelor's degree. It says employers work with candidates or prefer candidates who have studied public relations, journalism, communications, English, or business. So as I said earlier, there's not one way very often to get into a career. Sometimes people get there from different avenues. So you can be a PR specialist and get into that kind of career with more than one undergraduate degree. This is an example of several. It tells you that typically you do need a bachelor's degree in something related, and that through their education and training, students produce a portfolio, and the portfolio demonstrates their ability to a prospective employer. And that's how you're going to build up your ability to present yourself to an employer and get a job. Other things that are important related to public relations specialists is many employers will look for students and candidates who've had internship experience, who've had leadership experience, who've worked on student newspapers, who's been involved in student government. So anything that you can do, even if it's not a class, something practical, a volunteer experience, something where you get involved in a club or an organization. All these different parts of you can help you develop your skills and put together your portfolio. So again, if you look at the Occupational Outlook Handbook, it tells you what the position is, where they work, how to become one. There's information on pay. There's information on the job outlook. You can even break more information into detail by state, and you can get lists of other job titles that are similar occupations. So this is a great resource. You can Google OOH in Google and find it, and then once you put in OOH, this page will come up and you want to click on the A to Z index. Great resource. So going a little further, Employment Outlook is something that you can get from the Occupational Outlook Handbook and several other websites. And students might say, well, why is that important? Well, the reason that's important is you don't want to spend 4 years or more studying very hard and spending a lot of money to go to college and then find out when you're all done there's really no job opportunities out there. So the employment outlook for a public relations specialist tells us that this field is projected to grow 5 to 8% from 2014 to 2024. So it's important to know that if you're pursuing something, you're going to have some possible opportunities of finding work. And you also want to be thinking long term, is there opportunities for growth for me? You know, can I really have a career? A career is something where you stay in a field and you move up over time and you get more responsibility and you have more earning potential. You don't want to just hop around from job to job. The other thing that you can get from Focus 2, from the Outlook, Occupational Outlook Handbook, and we have another career assessment called Choices, which if you come see me, I'll be happy to introduce you to this as well. You can get salary information, and that's a big question I get all the time. You know, I want to do this job, but how much do they make? So to give you an idea, public relations specialists, according to the Choices website, the New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland area, it says the average salary is around $73,000. Entry-level person might make around $28 an hour. Over time, you can make, you know, up into the $130,000 range. So it's a broad range, but it looks like there's lots of growth potential. And this gives you kind of an idea of what to expect. You can even get more local information. This has Philadelphia details about salary for PR specialists. So again, lots of great information is available. So then the next question becomes, okay, I think I'm interested in this public relations. I'm a communication major at CCP, I think. Is that the best major? Are there other majors? And the Focus 2 actually gives you suggestions. If you have careers in mind that you like and you click further into it, it gives you suggestions for possible majors. So for someone at CCP that's interested in this type of a career, you could major in liberal arts here. You could major in communications. You could major in mass media, you could major in English. So there's more than one way to do this. And then the next question becomes, okay, I know I need a bachelor's degree and I'm gonna go from CCP to a 4-year school, but what am I gonna major in at the next place? Where am I gonna go next? So for bachelor's degrees, you might be looking at bachelor's in public relations, bachelor's in communications, journalism, or human services. So all of these things are connected, they're all related. Again, when you're doing research on occupations and majors, you know, different colleges and universities may have different titles for similar types of majors. So it's important to do the research and to explore and to talk to different people. Okay, so a big question is, you know, very often students will come in and they'll say, well, I know I want to go for a bachelor's, I'm really interested in this, but how do I know where? How do I find out what schools might have the major I'm interested in? There is a wonderful website. It's www.bigfuture.collegeboard.org/college search. The collegeboard.org is a big website, and in it there is a place that you can actually search for colleges and you can search for transfer institutions. So you can go to this website and you can do this questionnaire where you go in, you set up a profile for yourself, and then you answer a series of questions. So the first question is, what's my major going to be? So if you're interested in public relations, it could be public relations and advertising. It could be public relations, image management. If you click on select one or more majors, you could put in English, you could put in communications. Now you can search by more than one major. And then you can put in other characteristics when you're looking for a transfer institution. Very often, you know, people will wonder how much is it going to cost. So you can put in a range of, you know, what you think you're willing to spend for college. You can list the location. So if you're searching for schools and you want to stay in the Northeast corridor, you can search by state, or you could say Mid-Atlantic. You can just put in the size of the school. I want a big school, I want a small school, I want something in between. You can, you know, look for housing if you want to transfer and live away, make sure they have housing, all different characteristics you can put into this search, and it'll help you narrow down some options for looking for a transfer school. So this is a great website. Once you put in all of your criteria and you have it do the search, you'll get results that look like this. So again, we're looking for a public relations type of bachelor's degree. And this particular person, Jenny, when she did her search, she said she wanted to be less than 50 miles from Philadelphia. And she put in some different criteria for public relations. Image management was her major. And she came up with a list of 4 schools. So in her case, several of them were Penn State, a couple of them were out of state in New Jersey and Maryland. And you can click on these schools and get more and more information. So again, the more you spend time with this website, the more digging you can really do. Now, sometimes students do a search and they say, I don't really like these options. I don't want to go to any of those schools. If that happens, it's okay. You can go back and refine your search. So you can go back in and say, I want to be closer to Philadelphia. This time I'm going to say less than 20 miles. And you might want to fool around with the different majors and see what comes up. So the second time Jenny did this, she came up with a list of schools that was a little more familiar, a little closer to Philadelphia. And as you can see, quite a few of these should be familiar to you. Arcadia, Holy Family, Temple. So again, you can click on each of these boxes and get more information. So Arcadia was on the list, and one of the questions when you go in here that you should be asking yourself, if I transfer from CCP to one of these schools like Arcadia, do we have any agreements with them? Transfer agreements are very, very important to look for. It's going to make your transition easier. You know, if we have an agreement, it means we've worked out some sort of deal where the credit that you take here ought to easily transfer over to the 4-year school. Dual admissions, core to core, program to program, these are all different kinds of agreements. The dual admissions program is probably something you've heard of. We have agreements, I think, with about 16 schools right now. And dual admissions basically says you will go from CCP to this 4-year school. And if you sign up for it and you follow what's required, so you have to pick the major at CCP that corresponds with the major at the 4-year school. And if you sign up for it, it helps you make the transition. It's guaranteed to get you from CCP into the next college or university. It often gets you right into the major, but there are some exceptions. If you're choosing a highly competitive major, dual admissions doesn't always get you into the specific major. You may have to do additional steps. But for something like English or journalism, usually if you pick the right major here and your GPA is high enough, you can pretty easily transfer right over into the next college or university. The important thing with dual admissions is that you realize it's something you have to sign up for, and you have to do it early on in your career at CCP. Temple is one of the most popular schools that students transfer to. You must sign up for dual admissions before you've earned 30 credits. That varies a little bit depending on each school. In your My CCP and your My GPS page, there is a link and a whole section on dual admissions. Okay. So the advantages of dual admissions, again, it helps the transition to be a lot easier. They waive the application fee when it comes time to actually completing your application to the 4-year school. There's scholarship money that becomes available to you, and very often you can get academic advising a little bit earlier than normal. The other thing I always recommend to students is that you go and visit. So if you're making this decision to transfer and spend 2 or 3 more years of your life at a college or university outside of CCP, please take the time to go visit, because you get a lot of really, really valuable information firsthand by being there, by talking to students, by talking to admissions people, and by getting a feel for the campus. It's important that you feel comfortable there. Okay. And again, if you spend some time digging in these pages, you can learn about the transfer application process. You can learn about the steps involved. I get that question all the time. Essentially what happens for dual admissions to go into effect, you sign up early on at CCP. You have to stay and finish your degree at CCP. You have to graduate. And usually when you're getting ready for that last semester at CCP, that is when you make your formal application to the 4-year school that you want to transfer to. You fill out your online application to the school, you have your official transcript sent from CCP to the school, and then you wait. And hopefully if you've met all the requirements and you graduate, you should be able to transfer with ease. Okay. And again, there's lots of important information on these transfer pages. It'll tell you things like how many credits actually can transfer. If my whole degree transfers, could I take extra credits? Could I take above and beyond? And in some cases you can. This is an example from Villanova. It's one of our transfer institutions that we have agreements with. It says they accept a maximum of 60 credits from other institutions. They also say that some of the programs are very, very competitive and that you need a 3.0 or better to get into some of the majors. So again, there are little nuances and variations for each of these programs, but the important thing is that you have a sense of where you can be looking, where you can do the research. And then by all means, please feel free to follow up with me if you've got other questions. Okay? So that is really it in a nutshell. There is one more thing that I'm going to ask you to do. When you have finished all of the Focus 2, you should go to the very bottom of the Focus 2 and create a portfolio, where you click on a bunch of boxes at the bottom and it gathers all of your information and it puts together in a printable form kind of a summary of everything you've done. And then when you've done all of that, what we want you to do is come up with at least one career that you want to research. I would say if you can come up with a few, that's probably even better, but at the very least, for the purposes of this Focus 2 career assignment, you have to have at least one career. And what we're going to have you do is fill out this FYE 101 career research worksheet. Okay? And what it tells you is that you're going to combine all of your assessments in the Focus 2. There's a section that says Combine Assessments. And it's going to have you select all of your different scales, so the work interests, the leisure interests, the skills, the personality, and the values, and continue. So it combines things for you. And then it'll come up with a list of occupations for you. And what I want you to do from the list of potential careers, choose at least one occupation that interests you. And then we have to do filling out this worksheet. Okay, and I've sent it to your teacher and she'll make sure that you get it. So the worksheet says, what occupation are you interested in pursuing? Can you identify the specific steps needed to prepare for this occupation? For example, what level of education is required? What is the median or average salary for this occupation? And again, you can get that information from Focus. You can get it from Choices, which I showed you a little earlier. You can get it from the Occupational Outlook Handbook. And the links to all of these websites are right on this worksheet. Okay? What are some possible majors at CCP that I could be in if I want to pursue this major? What are possible majors at transfer schools? What is the job outlook for this occupation? And then we want you to answer some additional questions using the College Board website that I mentioned to you. I want you to come up with one transfer college that you think you'd be interested in and write it down. Make sure you have the school's website. Question, what are the current costs of tuition and fees at that school? Does CCP have dual admissions with that school or any transfer agreements? If so, what is the GPA requirement? What do you need to have to transfer? So again, if you fill out this worksheet, it should help you really get some momentum going in researching a specific career. Okay, and just for your information, visiting the college, finding out if they have any transfer events. Temple has, visit days all the time, and most colleges and universities do. We have a transfer day coming up in October here in the lobby of Bonnell. You could stop down and meet with a lot of different admissions people from different colleges and universities. Okay. So that is really it. I hope you found this helpful. The goal, again, is to really get you thinking and feeling like you have good information for exploring careers and moving forward in your journey. I'm happy to follow up with you individually. I think your teacher's going to perhaps try to have a group meeting. And again, I have shared my information. There's a little info that I sent to your teacher that's available in Canvas, how to reach me. I'm here on the main campus. You can come see me in person, and I didn't mention this earlier, but I'll mention it again. I also do online counseling with students, so if you are taking the online class and it's hard for you to get to campus and you'd like to connect with me virtually, we can make that happen. We have software called Zoom that we use, and I'm using it right now to make this video. I can meet with you that way, we can see each other face to face, and we can look at the computer and share information. So happy to help. And I hope that you're having a great semester. I hope that this exercise was helpful to you. And I look forward to meeting you at some point. And I wish you all the best. Take care.